Hey everybody, I'm Zach. Welcome to Zach's Soapbox. This is the video for the week of Friday, October 31st, 2025. Hello everyone and happy Halloween. For me, usually on Halloween I just have a special dinner and maybe do a ritual every year on Halloween, that sort of thing. But in lieu of Halloween, I'm going to do a topic on um, shadow people, something paranormal to kind of, in the vein of Halloween and, that sort of thing. So we're going to do shadow people this week. For those who don't know, I'm Zach. Welcome to Zach's Soapbox. This is the video where once a week I get on here, speak my mind, talk about whatever I want to talk about, and then upload it and you guys give me feedback, like, comment, and share, and all that good stuff. But, so what I got for you this week is shadow people. And hope you enjoy. Hope you find it stimulating. Maybe start a little bit of a conversation down in the comments. Feel free to like, comment, and share. I know a lot of you watch these videos, but a lot of you don't interact with them directly here on YouTube, like with the like button and commenting and all that helps the algorithm and that sort of thing. But so shadow people. There's some theories and disputes as to what these are. So I guess I'll start with that. A lot of people say, well, a lot of times when you see shadow people, they're for at night, and like you're in between dream and sleep, and so you combine a little bit of dream world and sleep world, and then you see people standing and staring at you. But that doesn't make sense because there's been times where even myself, I've seen shadow people in broad daylight during waking hours, so there's no way you're asleep. And if you just laid down 5 minutes ago and you're just kind of taking a deep breath, you're not sleeping yet to where this would be like a dream or something like that. Oftentimes people also say there are things like floaters and just shadows from other things in the room. Well, but shadows from other things in the room don't always take a humanoid shape to where they're standing and, sometimes they're even 10 feet tall. But on a little bit of poking around, it appears that every culture throughout human history has had stories of shadow people or something similar. Like in Arabian cultures, they're often called jinn. I guess jinn can be good or bad, and good or evil type entities or beings. I kind of tend to think that there's something maybe interdimensional to where, like, say, a 3D object is going to create a 2D shadow. But maybe a 4D object, like in a fourth dimension, would create a 3D shadow to where it looks humanoid. That sort of thing. You know what I mean? They usually appear like, as you're drifting off to sleep, or maybe you wake up in the middle of the night because you feel someone's there. Uh, you know, they could be like, oh, well, what about like floaters, like when you get them little floater things in your eye? Yeah, but you don't feel like the floater is staring at you. And a floater's not 10 feet tall and 3 feet wide. You know what I mean? Um, but so, yeah, I've had a lot of experiences with shadow people. It's probably my most common, uh, I guess what I'll call paranormal experience. And I used to experience them a lot more when I was younger than I do as an adult. I don't see them as much today, and that sort of thing. But I notice is they tend to be like either that really tall, really wide man with the hat. It's almost like you see them, but they're almost not really there. Like you don't see facial features, you don't see hand and eye movements, you don't see hands and eyes. You just see kind of the outline of a person. But I notice they tend to be like regular people, or they tend to be like the really tall, wide one with the hat, or they tend to be like wearing a cloak or like a robe, like a cloak over your head, like where you wear a hood. Those seem to be the three most common, and I've experienced like all three of those uh, to me. But I noticed, like for me, they almost seem to be more um, like whatever they are. I almost like get a sense of comfort, peace, or protection. Like we're not like whatever it is not here to hurt you, but in fact kind of watch over you. And oftentimes, it's almost like they're just observers. They're not there to interact or to harm or to. They're almost just watching or observing. You know what I mean? Perhaps maybe they're remote viewing you from like a different part of the world or part of the universe. And then this is what remote viewing is like it's a out of body projection, and that's how you do remote viewing and like Project Stargate type stuff. Who knows? But I noticed for me, like growing up, like in the household I did, where mom's getting her ass beat by her boyfriends. You'd hear the commotion and the arguing in the middle of the night, and you'd wake up, and then you'd see like the woman in the cloak or the man in the hat, and they'd be standing there. And at first, it's scary, but after a while, it's almost like I would see them and then just roll over and go back to sleep, as if I knew that like they were there. You just get the feeling like they're not there to hurt you, but in fact maybe even protect you in some way. You know what I mean? But so like I notice, like, say you'll see them, especially when you're a child, like if you're scared or you have a lot of fear or sadness. You know what I mean? Maybe they'll appear like in the corner of the room. You know what I mean? And they're just watching. You know what I mean? Sometimes they could be standing there for hours. Like you could see them when you go to sleep, and then you wake up in the middle of the night to go pee or something, and it's still standing there. You know what I mean? As if they're keeping guard. So after a while, I was no longer scared of them as much anymore. To where it just felt like whatever it is guarding me, so I'm not really going to worry about it. Like I said, I don't see them as nowhere near as much as an adult, but I've had a lot of experience like with shadow people. I noticed 3 different types. The regular, just like human, then there's like the one that wears the cloak or the robe because they have like a hood, and then there's the big tall one with the brimmed hat that's really wide. It's like nothing in the room is going to cast a shadow 10 feet tall and 4 feet wide, so it can't just be a shadow. You just call it a shadow person because they get the humanoid shape, but they're nothing more than a shadow, like black on black. The room's pitch black, but yet somehow they stand out as if they're black on black, like, you know what I mean? Like I said, they're mostly just observers, but they really don't seem to harm or bother people, whatever they are. I mean, and they very well could just be like hallucinations because you're really tired. Because, like I said, oftentimes they do appear at night, like when you're getting ready to go down to, lay down to sleep or wake up in the middle of the night or something and roll over. But the thing is, like with a shadow, like a floater or just a regular shadow, you don't get a sense that a shadow on the wall over there or the shadow from the cookie jar being on the table is watching you. Whereas with these things, it's like you could tell they're observing you and you could feel them watching. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But no, like I said, I noticed for me, they would appear like, say, if I'm scared or sad or stressed out, it's almost as though they're there, you know what I mean? Like, say, if you're crying, maybe over the loss of a loved one or some, you know what I mean? As if they're there to kind of watch and observe, but yet comfort and protect at the same time. But anyways, guys, that's just been my experience. I don't really find them scary anymore, and I haven't really experienced them much as I've gotten older. But particularly like as a child, or like say when something big is getting ready to happen, say in your life, like where you're gonna have a life-changing event, you know what I mean? Things like that, they might show up more, that sort of thing. But what have been some of your experiences with shadow people and that sort of entities and those sort of things? Let me know down in the comments. Hope you found this video thought-provoking, interesting. Feel free to like, comment, and share. I gotta get a new tripod to do my videos because my tripod, this one's the one leg and one prong on it's kind of off, so it's making the video lean a little bit, so I'm trying to work with it until I can get a new one. But all right, guys, have a good weekend, happy Halloween, and I will see you next week. Bye.